So there's been another shooting at a church school, and we're basically told that the shooter was mentally ill, and therefore there aren't really any conclusions that we can draw. And in fact, the New York Times says we'll just never know what motivated him. But I think that's a little too fast to be charitable. In fact, okay, the fact that the guy was disturbed doesn't mean that we can't look at the society that formed him and ask whether or not that society is more likely or less likely to result in people like this. Because let's be honest, for quite some time now, we've been living in a society that ignores reality itself, that proclaims that we can't even know reality, that claims that we can't know reason. Obviously, that's sort of most obvious in the cases of male and female, of sex, right? That's been the argument of our age. It's certainly been something that this shooter grappled with as well. Can we not admit that? Because it does seem relevant, I'll say that much, that this individual had really taken the pill, so to speak, in regards to the ideological mantra of the left. Because he was emblematic of it. And yes, it's true that there were indications of profound mental illness, and indeed he seemed outright possessed in his writings, but that doesn't change the topic. It doesn't really change the truth that, our society is ordered towards more of this, and it will take a person who is perhaps more mildly disturbed and throw them in the wrong direction instead of guiding them towards normalcy. Because if a person comes in to, a doctor's office or a therapist's office now and says, "Hi, I'm a woman and I think that I'm a man," in previous times, the doctor would have said, "Well, you're not," and then would have helped the person to see themselves as they actually are. But now we instead tell them to lean in to their mental illnesses, to lean into their vices in some sense. That's what we're encouraging people to do. And in fact, we attempt to penalize those in positions of power who refuse to engage with delusions like this and encourage it. It's evil. And the manifestation of this evil as it goes not just unchecked, but encouraged, yeah, it results in an actual death toll. Sometimes it results in these shootings, other times it results in the mass suicides that you see amongst that particular population. And so here's the thing. You can't really just say, well, it's not the left that's responsible for this shooting because it wasn't a shooting by somebody who's, a political campaigner. It doesn't work like that. The ultimate question is, was this person formed by the ideology of the left? And actually, I think the answer is yes. I think that is the natural product of it. And that doesn't mean that the person didn't have, a profound mental illness when obviously he did. But the two are not entirely inseparable. And moreover, the entire ideological understanding of modern leftism is that which I would actually say kinda is mentally ill, in that it denies our ability to reason, our ability to discern truth, our ability to look at things in terms of absolutes. All of these things are denied. Instead, it's all about what they would say, things being queer, things being counter to normal and encouraging that. And they would say that the use of the term normal is itself problematic, right? Because that's just capitalistic and in some sense evil. So that's the worldview that is forming young people. So if that worldview wasn't resulting in people who were seriously deranged, I mean, it would be rather surprising. Instead, what we're doing is we're taking the most vulnerable people, especially those who have, variations of autism and different mental illnesses, and confusing them maximally, refusing to tell them the truth, and then just watching what happens. And that's an evil in itself, and really, we need to be willing to say so. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out my other work, whether the on-screen videos, which should be over here somewhere, my writings, or even the book. There are options for you. Stick around.